if food storage is your emergency preparedness plan, then your real plan is war. Because you will be the only one prepared, surrounded by thousands of people. Even where I am, in the middle of nowhere, there are thousands of people. And those people are not going to be full bellies in the time where their food is challenged. In any condition, even in a good, moral human being's life, if they are faced with letting their children starve to death or knocking on their neighbor's door who has food, they're going to knock on the neighbor's door. Now, if you're the type who has guns and ammo to protect your emergency supplies and your emergency preparedness, bug out bags and all these other things, then your real plan is not to self-sustain and become a compound and a thriving community. Your real plan is war, a never-ending war surrounded with every single person around you. I have a better model for you, and that model is independence, one household at a time, all the way down the street, all the way throughout your neighborhood, all the way throughout your community. That happens with regenerative design. I am challenged all the time by common conceptions where people say that you can only become so self-sufficient. That is a farce that you have been taught because of the way that our culture was brought up one generation at a time. It is not only possible to create self-sustaining systems that go net zero, like many people in the green movement are touting, but it is in fact possible to create regenerative systems that get stronger over time. And I don't mean systems like your car. I'm talking about food systems, systems of nature that get stronger over time. What do you think happened in the Amazon? The Amazon's history is absolutely mind-boggling because the actual source of all of that greenery and that massive production of ecosystems in all different webs of life came from cultivation. It came from natives of the area who created that environment. There is food forests in Canada that they didn't know were food forests because they were so well adapted and ecologically diverse that they thought it was just a pocket of a really strange condensed space of all these different species kind of grouping up, and they thought, oh man, that's so weird, let's study this area. Lo and behold, later now they found remnants of a past tribe or native culture that had lived there and cultivated that. It wasn't just a random pocket of all this fruits and vegetables and edible herbs. It was cultivated, and they had no idea because it was so well integrated into nature that they thought it was wild. The same thing happened to 2,000-year-old Morocco village, where that village is still to this day being fed by the adjoining food forest by design. Now, this is just an example. There are other areas that we can get into regenerative design with food, water, shelter, and surplus only being tip of the iceberg. Now, this is what I do, and I do this all over the country. I have mentors that have been doing this longer than I've been alive. This is not new concepts. This is not my idea. This is something that has been on the planet since before you or I were born. And we are lied to in our society, being told that these systems don't exist and that we have to fend for ourselves, go to work, and create a pattern of degenerative lifestyles where everything you do is in some form of a bondage to your human basic needs of food and water and shelter. Everything that you do is tied to a subscription for those things. You have to pay a subscription every single month to go to the grocery store and buy food every week. Whatever your grocery bill is, that's a subscription that you pay every single month with the grocery store. And whether or not they debit your card on auto pay, or if you just bring your card yourself to make the monthly payment, you are paying for that. If you're not growing 100% of your food, then that is what you're doing. You are getting it from somebody else who you are required to pay where you don't eat, whether that's the grocery store, your neighbor down the street, or whoever it may be. Now, is it possible to grow 100% of your food and still work in the modern economy? Absolutely not. They are completely incompatible. So what do? You barter and you trade. You do self-sufficient sets of implementation or stages of implementation, and you don't go gung-ho and revamp your entire property unless you have the means to do that and unplug from the system. But it is extremely difficult to do that because the system wasn't built for that. You can't serve God and mammon. You have to choose which level you want to live, God's economy or the modern economy. And frankly, you can't have both. And so I hate to break it to you, but there is a better way. And no, it's not easy to find. But if you're trying to become self-sufficient and trying to leverage all of the preparedness philosophies and imagine every incredible scenario that you possibly can for World War III and nuclear bombs and plagues and diseases and economic fallout and all the different issues that are going on around us, which are probable, by the way, then in the end, what you're really doing is planning for war. You're planning for war. And then you think that you're creating this little safe haven for your family, but what you're really doing is creating a pocket of war where everybody around you is going to come knocking down your door to try to help you. And you're going to be a good person and you're going to help them, and you eventually run out of your own supplies. So this is not a sustainable way of looking at the future. What is sustainable, and even more so is regenerative, is when you become the educator and the hub of demonstration for your entire community, and every homestead that you are possibly capable of influencing around your local community can become regenerative. One food forest at a time, one beehive at a time, one water system and rain catch system at a time, one earthwork at a time. Go dig swales with your neighbor. Go create resilience-based systems for feeding your animals 100% without hay year-round. You can graze your cows year-round in my climate, even where I'm at, 100% without hay. You never have to buy hay again. But you don't know that because you've been taught otherwise. Right? And so there are plants that we can use that do all these things. Hairy vetch is a really good example of this. And it'll extend your season all through winter, right? It'll go from November to February, and then from February on, and every 2 months. And this is something that people just aren't taught. We don't know, because we are conventionally taught that if we do not abide by the workflow of the economy, then we're going to run out of money. And if we don't have money, we're not going to have time to, or we're not going to have the resources we need to actually survive. And so the education and all the academics are pointed toward jobs and money and scaling the economic ladder. They're not taught. We're not teaching each other regenerative principles. We're not passing on age-old wisdoms. We don't know what herbs we're looking at when we look at the forest. We have no idea what's edible when you walk outside. We eat conventionally across America only about 200 species. 200 species on our grocery store shelves because they are easy to produce, because they're agriculturally and massively produced and effective to harvest. They're easy to produce, like corn, and you can put a big old tractor over that thing and you can harvest all your corn shucks, but you can't actually get in the ground and try to get or run a tractor over your cornfield and try to use a tractor to harvest multi-tiered system of growing, like the what do they call it, the Three Sisters Guild. And so now you've got corn and beans and squash all growing together in a big field. Well, you're not going to run a tractor through that. You're going to have to hand harvest that. So it's not conducive to industry, and it's not very profitable. So they want to use a machine. So then the machine comes in and do it, and now we eliminated 2 crops and we're only growing corn. That's what happened across the country. That's why we only grow 200 species. But did you know that there's 300,000 edible species fit for the human diet? 300,000! Seriously, think about that. 300,000. That's a lot. That's a lot. And we're sitting here eating tomatoes. Like that's our staple. Like, or tomatoes and squash. Like, and we love these things. Watermelon, we love all these things. But that's because that's all we know. There are 300,000 other things to know. And every one of your neighbors could be doing these things, but we do not have that in our culture. So what we've done is we've provided for ourselves, we've scaled economically, and we've driven out all of the regenerative systems so that now our culture is dependent on the income system, the economy, the job. And if you don't have the job, you can't eat. And if you can't eat, you don't get to go to work or do anything else because you're sick. Now you go to the hospital instead. So now you have a poor diet, so you go into the economic flow of the medical establishment, which keeps you sick. And then in the end, you have even more problems that you have to diagnose with more medications and all these other cycles. And all of this is directly, can be directly funneled back to what we see as a society in our habitual patterns across food, water, shelter, and surplus, which is really crazy to me, because if you actually reverse engineer all of this and you find that and you actually study and actually realize that all of this, it has an alternative. Literally everything we do has an alternative. Your modern economy of import even has a complete alternative. It's called circular economies. Google that one, it'll blow your mind. We have so many things that we can do as a people, and the resources and the willpower to do it, but we're not, because we are comfortable being in a system that no longer serves us. And for many generations, it was all we knew. We didn't know better. Something was lost to us at some point in society, or some point in history, where a lot of this old age wisdom was just taken away from society. And the previous few generations were strong men and women, capable, who created all of the resilience that we have today by industry, by hard work and labor. But now we're kind of going back to the roots as a people. There's this wave washing across the continent, and not just America, but the world, where we're realizing that there are regenerative systems that you can build once that return forever, literally forever. It's a build once and yield and reap from forever. The yield gets better every year, not harder. Your workload gets lower every year, not worse. Your inputs can be completely eliminated, and your ability to actually overproduce comes with less labor than a conventional garden. So this is like, we're just not taught. It's mind-blowing when you really think about the way that we live in contrast to what's possible. So I do this for a living. I help people learn this stuff for a living. I'll be speaking at Baker Creek in May 3rd and 4th. I'll be speaking here at my farm here in 2 weeks on May 7th or March 7th. I travel all over the country. I will come to you wherever you are and teach you in your community, and I will help open your eyes. There is so much information available to us. You literally just need to know what the questions are. That's it. I don't even have to show you how to do it anymore. You can Google it. ChatGPT can tell you. All you have to do is know the questions to ask. That's what I think it is coming down to as a consultant in the regenerative sphere these days, is to demonstrate the systems and then create tangible material where people can see it and actually see it, touch it, and feel it. I develop hubs for a living. When I'm traveling and teaching, that's one thing. But my core focus is to create demonstration properties. I'm pulling up to my house right now, and this farm is intended to be a demonstration. I lived in that camper for a long, long time, trying to get to the point where we could no longer travel and teach, and we could come and create this demonstration. So now I'm sitting here in front of this property here that is going to be, and is actively being translated into, a massive demonstration. We have cattle that graze around us from the neighbor. Hopefully one day we'll be able to finance turning that into a rotational grazing pattern. And I'll introduce to you silvopasture here on my property. We have a 20,000 kilowatt solar system, so we are completely gridless. We don't have any grid tied system on our acreage. We don't even have internet wires in our soils. Nothing is grid tied. We have our own well. I'll teach you how to get all your rain catch systems deployed so that you can actually create a self-sustaining water flow system across your property. We get 47 inches of rain a year here in the Midwest, and that's a lot. That's a lot of rain, right? I'm from the Rockies, where we were basically in deserts, and so we were like 6 inches. It's beautiful out here, but the same system applies in the Rockies that applies here. And so what's really interesting is that the only thing that's different and adjusted with regenerative systems is actually the application. That's it. The concepts are the same. The strategies change just a little bit on how we approach things. The tools from the permaculture toolbox, or whatever it is that we're applying, change a little bit. But in reality, it's the exact same thing. Regenerative systems are regenerative systems. They are systems that regenerate the soils, the environment, the surplus, whatever it is that we're producing. Right here, this is the biggest mess on my property. I have garden beds being built. I've got my kids come out here and move things around. Like I've got all this stuff going on. I got all these random flags in the ground, right? We're doing this kind of makeshift composting over there, but I got the solar array there, and all of these are swales. So to the untrained eye, what you see here is just a whole bunch of moving pieces and chaos and just a bunch of boards on the ground. But what I see is a development. What I see is rain catch systems sprawled across my soon-to-be garden here that goes all the way down to the side. I see water that comes off of my house, catches on the gutter system, funnels into the main pond that's up there in the front of the house, runs its way down, gravity fed through the first bed where we have perennial herbs and all of our kitchen garden all up there, and that comes then into the pond. There's a succession of swales that starts way up there above all of this moving tools and stuff, and it's going to feed down into my garden here. And then one drip at a time, as the pond overfills, I know exactly where the water comes out. And as it comes out right there, it fills into the swale, goes out into the next succession, fills this swale, next succession, fills this one. Between the swales, we have planted crops. I see all of this blooming and booming like crazy. And then all of this, as it leaves, funnels out into where it will be another greater catchment, where we have a large half-acre pond to develop in this area here. I come from an urban living for a long, long time. Most of my life, I moved through urban cities, and I watched all of us catch rain that would fall on our houses, and it would roll off, and then it would just land on the ground and roll off to the street, and then it would run out into the city municipalities. And the city municipality would then turn around and treat it with neurotoxins, right? Fluoride and chlorine, and then they would send it back to us with a bill and say, you can have it back, but you got to pay me because it's dirty and I had to clean it. Well, yeah, it's dirty. It ran from my house all the way to you, got completely contaminated with everything in the street, in the city, and the roads, and then you sent it back to me. Why didn't I just catch it? Oh, well, you can't. It's illegal. Well, wait a minute. You're telling me the water that falls on my roof already, I can't keep? I have to send it to you? Yes, and when you do, I'm going to bill you to send it back. What? That is so backwards. There's something wrong with the way that we have developed our communities across the entire cities. And this is a problem. This is why I'm here on the planet, is to fix this and to help people understand there's a better way. This chaos here, this is what development looks like. You move from chaos to order, right? According to your budget, according to what you're capable of doing, you take steps, and you take, micro steps, not big leaps. We were here for what I believe is roughly 10 months, 8 months, something like that, before we decided what we were going to do. Because for the first year, there's observation. You don't just jump into stuff, right? That's how you make mistakes. So you take your time. I lived in this thing with my family for quite some time before we decided it was time to move on and get the acreage and develop the hub. There are steps you take. We have this microwave thinking in society where we want everything now, everything handed to us on a platter. We want to put it in the microwave, push a button, ding, it's done, and we move on. That's not how nature works. That's not how the universe works. And it's not how you should work. So I hope that you've taken some of the golden nuggets out of what I've been talking about today, and that you can understand that there's a different way to do things, a different way to live, and a better way to move forward as a people. And even if you need help, comment down below. That's literally what I'm here for. We're developing what's called TIAG communities. TIAG is an acronym. It means the Independent American Gardener. The purpose of TIAG communities is a 501c3 nonprofit effort to help communities build these systems in their own home, every home at a time. And it goes back to what I told you in the beginning. Why? Well, if I'm the only one prepared, then I'm planning on war. So I know that for me and my kids to be okay, all of us have to be okay. The Africans have a saying for this. They call it Ubuntu. Ubuntu means I am because we are. There's better ways to live, my friends. I hope that this has inspired you. I hope that you see that there's something capable that we can all do together that is far beyond what you've been taught. And if this isn't news to you and you love this kind of language, connect with me, help me, let's do this. I would love to link arms with you and make this happen even faster. This is almost 20 minutes of me talking to you. If you're not convinced at this point, frankly, nothing I say to you is going to help until we get a system established that you can come and see with your own eyes, because you're the type that won't believe without seeing. If you're still watching this far and you still don't believe what I'm saying, if you are, and you're all like behind the camera going, yeah, this is what I'm talking about, well, then we need to be friends. And you should comment below, DM me, whatever it is, private message me, and let's talk, because I can't do this alone. Nobody can. My boys know I'm home now. I gotta bail. Much love, everybody. Let's do this. We got a lot of work to do.